All right, this Hangout on Air is live, back by unpopular demand because one person asked for him on Twitter. We've got the one, the only, together again. Guys, you have no idea. Some of you kids have no idea. You just started tuning into this bull crap. Meanwhile, me and this old soul go back. 2015 was the year. A young CW chanter thought that he would form a hippy dippy new age, new wave YouTube channel dedicated to my exploration of my own personal spiritual ideas, my thoughts on religion, faith, cosmology, and theology, and maybe commenting on other people in the community as well. That lasted for about 3 seconds before I realized that I was getting no traction in a world where my competition were people that were claiming to be Illuminati insiders and talking to sphere being whatevers. I was getting no traction until one magical day when I hit upon the formula for success that I've been riding like a train, slowly but surely, up the ladder of no success since that first day. And it all happened with the discovery of a young man called Shane the Ruiner, Shane the blog author, the famous Ruiner blog. I've told the story 10,000 times, but I'll tell it again as way of introduction to our next guest who's been with us before. God willing, he'll be with us again in the future. The year was 2015, and I was at a summer house on the Jersey Shore. And I was reading a certain blog on my iPad. And my wife actually woke up and she said to me, she goes, "Baby, what's wrong?" I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You're grinding your teeth so loud, you woke me up." And I punched my finger into the iPad and I said, "There's some kid lying on the internet." And she turned to me and she said, "I think that's something you're going to have to learn how to deal with." And the adventure began. I took Shane the Ruiner to the woodshed. I went to YouTube and I told YouTube exactly what was on my mind. I told him this guy sucks. His story is ridiculous. And anyone who believes this story is a stupid head. And that's how the journey began. And then shortly thereafter, he was nice enough to join me on the friggin' on the channel myself doing my first quote unquote interview. Man, was that a shit show. But then again, so here we go. Shane and CW present the douchebag extravaganza we are about to fail at. He has been gone for so long, he doesn't know what's what. We have no idea what's going on. We have no idea what's about to happen. But I think it's going to be amazing. Shane, how was that as far as introductions are concerned?
Well, that was a lot of fun, that's for sure.
There you go.
I love that story. Uh, I really do. Like as much as I am looking forward to one day meeting you in person. I do hope that I get to meet your wife, so I could be like, "Hi, I'm that guy."
Oh,
I can't wait. It'll be fun.
there you go. Now it's funny. If you were to meet her in real life and were to say to her, "I'm that guy," she would say, "Oh, you're the guy. You're the gay guy from Cincinnati that he's always fighting with," and you'd be like, "No, no, no," and she'll be like, "You're the other gay shaman that he's always fighting with." You'll be like, "No, no, no," and you'll be like, "You're the guy that talks to the blue avians." You'll be like, "No, no, no," and then she'll be like, "You're that guy that lies about the secret space program." You're gonna be like, "No, no, no," and then eventually she's gonna be like, "Oh, you're that guy who lied on the internet."
Pretty
there,
much.
there you go. There you go. Shane, you've been gone for so long. What happened?
Um, I just didn't feel like doing it anymore, so I didn't do it anymore. Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. And then here we have you back. And so it's crazy because
Hey, I want to answer. I want to
sure.
answer. I want to answer some questions. They're asking why they can't see me. It's because I'm on my phone, and it will die in a hurry if I turn on my camera. And I would like to be able to talk for more than, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, anyways.
Yeah, well,
So,
it's the CW Chanter channel, so you better be prepared to talk for more than 10 or 15 minutes. Are you kidding me?
yep, I look old.
Well, it's funny that you should say that, considering that your avatar is literally an old guy that's like apparently desiccated back into the forest after meditating for so long.
I really don't. Here, let me. We'll do it for a minute. There we go. And then I don't have to hold it. Everyone can see that I'm a real live human being.
They still won't believe you, even if you go on. They'll be like, you're not a real life human being. AI can cook up that man bun in like 15 seconds.
Oh yeah, there it is.
That's it. It doesn't take long to
Oh,
render
shit.
you.
It's that quick.
It's that quick. That's
What's
you know
that
what I mean?
program? They have that program. I've got a green screen behind me. That's
Oh, look at you.
blue screen.
So
Uh,
classing it up. Someone's prepared to come. I think
no.
someone's laying some groundwork. Someone's going to be
All right.
coming on back.
Bye, guys.
That's it. So we got to see him. There you go. My brother from another mother. Canada's favorite son, Shane the fucking Ruiner, back once again. Hopefully to shed some. So the reason I think it's so fascinating to get you back is because you've been gone for so long, but you're coming back at a pristine time to come back and talk to me, because people don't know in 2015 there was a lot going on, but a lot of the things that have kind of developed and blown up with the whole Corey Good, David Wilcock, Blue Avians thing and all that stuff. When you and I first started talking and getting together about things, it was like just at its inception. You know what I mean? Like, I think when we first started talking, like the Blue Avians were like brand spanking new. Corey Good was really talking all about the Sphere being Alliance or all that crap. No response.
Did that stop? I don't remember that stopping.
You don't remember that? No, it did. Well, dude, I mean, like, I think we've been through some evolutions. I mean, I don't know, but I think that the reason that's pertinent to have you back is because you can back up some of my claims. I've been talking about covering and talking about. I was literally talking about Corey Good before he did the first episodes of Cosmic Disclosure. I was talking about Corey Good when he was just like it was shortly after he had his like brand new website, like, oh, twist my arm, Christine Anderson made me do this audio tape interview that I had no idea was going to get released, and then within like a day he had this like awesome website 1.0 up, full of besmirching court documents about Bill Ryan and Zazzle merchandise, like Sphere Being Alliance dartboards and Sphere Being Alliance beer cozies and stuff.
Oh yeah, that was back in the day, and I started it all. I think.
Oh, you think? Well, tell us, because no, but it's true. It's like you were there. I mean,
I was there from the beginning. Like the first person he ever like, and I'm probably jumping way ahead of us here. Well, I'll steal a page out of your book and jump way ahead of ourselves.
Go for it.
The doxing thing, like I'm the first person he did that to. There was a good solid 2 weeks where he thought the Ruiner blog was written by some other combination of two guys. And then when he finally found out it was me, he started posting my name everywhere and posting links to my band. And he was the person who, before anyone knew who was writing it, was the person going from website to website to website, make sure that everybody knew it was Shane who wrote that blog.
But so look, so you could back me up on this, because this is one of the things I've been talking about. One of the frustrations in doing what I've been doing and covering him since Jump Street, since before he did the Cosmic Disclosure thing, was by the time, as I was speaking about him and as I was speaking about the problems that were developing with him, he had this huge fan base that was growing of people that, because they came into this conspiracy theory, new age, disclosure, ascension worldview from like an obtuse angle. They didn't come to it organically by going to the forums and searching out searching for things like Area 51, and then by this move and that move ending up on places like the Project Avalon forum, or finding about Project Camelot videos on YouTube. But all these people who were like just sitting at home and found out about this stuff through, like, they found out about David Wilcock through Ancient Aliens, you know what I mean, or 2012 mythology documentaries, and then they ended up having all this. Their first impression of this world was this Corey Good character. So as I'm trying to talk about how like nefarious this guy is, it was like trying to like with an army of 5 dudes trying to invade a castle because their ability to broadcast their message over me and over other people that were trying to talk logically about the whole subject, it was just almost impossible. And you just have this background noise of all these people being like, "We love you, Corey. Corey, you're love and light. Don't listen to these haters." And I'm like, "I'm trying to save you from the poison in the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid." You know? But
Oh, I know.
yeah,
It was
yeah, it's
going back
incredible.
to the beginning. It was a combination of Project Avalon and then myself that he did this whole campaign that he's doing now. Like the Dark Alliance or whatever you call it goes back to the first blog he ever wrote about the Illuminati starting to get or just sending someone to go after him to devalue his message. That was all about me. I was that guy. And it's just the faces have changed, but his approach to it all has not. He just keeps now it graduated from this dark Illuminati thing to this dark alliance thing to it was me, and then it was other people, and then it was Bill Ryan, and then it was other people, and then it was Yvonne, and then it was other people. Yeah, it just it's the same game. He just keeps playing it over and over again. it's
Yeah.
it's really quite comical. And yeah, just like I haven't been paying attention to anything, and then I had heard from Yvonne, and I had heard something about you, and decided to look at YouTube. Found you had just interviewed Yvonne, and it was about this whole fucking nonsense. So
Nonsense.
um, yeah, kind of funny. It would kind of come full circle. It seems
Right.
every time I get out of this, it's almost like it's the Corey thing that ends up bringing me back in a way.
Well,
Because
no, I swear to Jesus, when you and I first started talking, and then Corey Good and David Wilcox started doing their thing, I quickly developed this personal mythology that I totally believe is true. That from some sort of woo perspective, the four of us must have been on some sort of fucking spacecraft mission gone wrong. And we're, you know what I mean? And we're constantly debating who was supposed to be responsible for being awake at the flying saucer wheel when it crashed into Roswell. You know what I mean? Because this is like ridiculous how these things keep on coming back. But it's important that you come back because, and it's important that I think that makes sense that Corey Good would have brought you back because this is like a wickedness that must be stopped. I mean, it's one thing because like guys like you and me, if someone doxes us, it's like, okay, congrats. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
I didn't really hide it very hard at
Yeah,
all. So
exactly. Exactly. So but then you get to things like Yvonne and the way that he tried to exploit her personal difficulties and hardships, and it's just this guy's like a wicked douche. I mean, he's just a wicked douche. I mean, there's no two way. It's not like there's some people where I'm like, okay, they've got a different perspective on life, and everybody's entitled to their perception and their way of being. And okay, maybe I don't like him personally, but he's still a child of God, whatever. And I'm not saying that Corey Good's not a child of God, but I am saying that this guy is like a nefarious actor. Like where he goes with his animus, where he goes with his bad feelings. Like when I'm pissed off at somebody, I yell at the microphone, I scream, I call somebody, nasty names, and then I move on with my life. But this guy actually freaking goes out of his way to dox people. And I think it's important that you tell the story about the doxing because it he's the dude that's doxing everybody. It's like it's not like there can be no denying it at this point. It's like where there's smoke, there's fire. And in the case of Corey Good having a tendency to dox people, it's like where there's fire, there's fire. Do you know what I mean? Like how many times does this have to happen before you wake up and smell the sank and realize that it's one person that's involved in this and it's him.
well, it everybody's putting themselves in this arena is kind of putting themselves up to be doxxed, right? Like
Right.
if you're worried about that, then you shouldn't really be talking in this arena at all. And y'all do it to each other, right? Everyone does it. So it's just what's wrong with him is that he gets mad that And I had pointed this out when he did it to me in the first place because he was upset when Carrie mentioned his name. Because, Carrie was the first person to say Corey. And he was all fucking butthurt about that. And then he turned around and did the exact same thing to me. And that's just right from the very beginning shows what his character is when it comes to any of this stuff. He's very hypocritical in that way that he'll get mad or get really pissed off at other people for doing the exact same shit he is doing himself over and over again.
Right. But it's like the funny thing about like, it's like if she mentioned his name, like he was posting on Project Avalon under the name, what was it? Like Corey Good XGT or whatever it was.
Good something, good ET something. I don't know.
I forget. But it was all there. I mean, like, it's like the thing about like, dox is like, do we really dox each other? Because I mean, I don't know if you know the story, like, because we talked about when we were talking about putting together this piece, we were talking about how the fact of that maybe it would make sense for me to kind of bring you up to speed because by your own admission, and I think it's not a criticism. I think it's a decision. It's a wise decision often for people to say when they find themselves at the nexus of a dysfunctional series of social media entanglements to say, why don't I go back to planet Earth for a while? Like, try and figure out some shit there before I worry about wading my toe into this like narcissistic hellscape of ego and tweet trolling,
I know. I do know.
So when it comes to this latest thing, it's like like people like may say call each other out, you know what I mean? But as far as the doxing is concerned, I don't know if a lot of people are doxing people. First of all, there's two types of there's very few people. I mean, there are those people that try and maintain some semblance of anonymity while they do their whistleblower thing, or while they do their researcher thing, or while they do their color commentary thing. But for the most part, you get a lot of people out here just using their regular names and just kind of being like, this is who I am and this is what's going on. But when it comes to the case of Corey Good, like he goes out of his way to take, personal information and put it out there. Like I'm like, and he net like, and it's his default reaction when even people are just talking about him, he calls it doxing. And then he says that it's he's got permission or he's got carte blanche to go ahead and do it to himself. So I'm going to throw out a series of timeline events, and I'm not going to go into them in detail or try to explain them at Jump Street. I'm just going to ask you whether or not you know about them.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, like I can tell you right now, like that series of events I just pointed out where a friend had mentioned you to me, Yvonne had messaged me. I watched that video. That was the first video in the alternative media that I have watched in probably at least 8 months, if not a year.
So you've missed a lot. So were you aware? Okay, so
I
this is
haven't
this
been following
right.
Facebook. I had gone from like April without posting anything, or even I think like I didn't even have the Facebook app on my phone for forever. Like I haven't been paying attention to anything. So that's
Jesus.
that's why I said you could bring me up to speed on all this stuff, and people could have my real time reaction,
Right.
which will probably be a lot of laughter. But
Right. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
looking
So,
forward to that.
okay. So it goes through a series. Like I think where it makes sense is we need to make sense with. Do you know who Jordan Sather is?
I do. I reached out to him once when he first kind of was becoming a name, just to say hello and let him know that I was open to talking to him, even though I knew his buddy Corey hated my guts. And he was very nice in response, and we just never secured a time. And that's about that. But yeah, I didn't. I know who he is.
When do you think that that was?
Huh. I don't know. It was quite a long time ago now. Probably around the time that I did the last interview with Randy Moggins, maybe.
Hold on, wait. Hold on. I got mute for 2 seconds. Hold on. I'm going to say something that's going to put things in perspective for a minute there, Shane. Here, check this out. Okay, you ready for a revelation?
Yep.
So I've explained to my wife that I'm doing this interview with her, and what's on her mind is the fact that we had the heating is out in our house. We have to wait for the heating guy to come and fix it. So my assignment before I was doing this video, my assignment was there was a red down blanket in a plastic zip up storage bag, and I was supposed to bring that upstairs, spread the blanket out on the bed, and then do something with the plastic bag. So my wife has called me to inform me that I neglected to do that. At which point I told her that I was doing this interview and was that really a big deal and did I really have to address it now? And she told me, yes. So I'm going to leave you alone for 5 seconds. Can you see the live chat?
I can. Yeah.
Wait, why don't you entertain the live chat for literally 5 seconds while I go put a blanket down as my punitive punishment for having the audacity of not actually taking it out of the bag and putting it on the bed, okay?
Absolutely.
Don't get married again, in case you're curious. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, it's all fun and games until we lose CW, right? You guys have to listen to me. Someone's asking if I still claim my stories. I've never not done so. I just also accept that I can't prove it to you, and I don't expect you to believe me, and I don't fucking care. And I leave it at that. Whether you choose to accept it or not is up to you. And moving on. Entertain us. I can see this live chat thing if you guys want to start ruining. Okay, well, the manner will. No, I'm not gonna. Not gonna do it. Anyways, hi guys. Sorry that Corey is still a topic that you guys have to put up with. I'm sorry that people keep asking me questions and I have to tell the same stupid stories over and over again. Dancing is one thing that I don't do well. I do it in a very funny manner. And Modwiz, love you, brother. Yeah, I'm not going to dance for you right now. Hello, everyone. What is your view on chemtrails? Can I just say that they suck? Regardless of what they are, it's not good. So isn't that enough of a reason for us all to be pissed off about it? All right. Yes, actually, well, I guess that's relative. The question of whether or not I was happier not being on Facebook and whatnot, it's definitely a much lighter feeling. Like even the day you kind of make the decision, like fuck this noise, and do something different with your life, it feels really good. So yeah, there was that. I've also my life has been kind of difficult, so I, I guess the one thing got overshadowed by the other. But overall, yes, I haven't missed it all, to be honest. Like I've a couple days of me posting just some pictures that I've taken of some trees that are destroying fences, and just kind of looking through the wall at all the people posting and seeing the same nonsense. And commented on Facebook about it. Everyone's still waiting for the savior. Everyone's still waiting for someone to come along with these hidden trust funds that are going to make everybody's life better. And I just, and I love to be proven wrong. I'm always very happy to be shown that I'm wrong about something. So if one of those people ever shows me to be wrong, great. But I'm going to say it again. None of it's ever going to happen. And I wish everyone would just stop talking about it.
About what?
Oh, what's a good way? Ambassadors of the world. These hidden reserves of money that are going to bail everyone out.
Oh, I mean, it's like beyond plan ridiculous. I mean, what I love about it is that literally, if it's not just that they make these predictions, is that they make these predictions day by day. There's a guy called I think his name is like Tim Isel or whatever. He's a very nice guy, but all he does is report in a kind of digest manner the various rando websites that are out there talking about this Jasera stuff, the global currency reset, and all this White Dragon Society stuff. And it's always the same prediction. It's always like next week, in starting in Dubai, Singapore, and Lost Islip. Banks are going to see on their screens the remonetization and reevaluation for the dinar, the Zimbabwe Zim, and you know what I mean, like the Kroner and whatever. And then the next week, nothing happens, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to happen this week. It's going to happen this week." And it's like, how long do you have to play this like Prince of Nigeria bullshit before you realize that there's nothing that's not how the economy works? Do you know what I mean? Like, you try to explain to people slowly, like if a massive amount of gold were to be reintroduced into the economy that had not been there previously, it would not affect a global currency reset. All it would do would be lessen the value of gold, right? Because there'd be more gold on the market equals less value for gold. That's all it would do. And it's just
There's a
ridiculous.
millions of problems it would cause, to be honest. And bottom line is none of it exists. So.
And none of it exists. How about this? Like a Benjamin Fulford. You ever see that video of Benjamin Fulford, that first videotape of Benjamin Fulford, where he's doing a round table like literally a card table with like this like guy who looks like he was like third runner up in the like Leo Zagami lookalike contest. And this guy that looks like he's going to as Odd Job from the James Bond movies from Dr. No for Halloween. Do you see that video?
I might have. It's not ringing a bell though.
Oh, it's a classic. He introduces this guy that literally looks like a villain from a James Bond movie, this Chinese man in a bowler hat. And he introduces him as the leader of like the International Association of Martial Artists. And he explains that like if Washington D.C., Moscow, and Hong Kong don't go along with Benjamin Fulford's demands for global currency reset, that this individual can literally have thousands of martial artists on the scene, mobilized at a moment's notice. You better like, take notice and be prepared. It's classic. You got to see it. It goes on the Benjamin Fulford comedy classics of conspiracy of all time.
My silence is all I really have to say about it.
There you go, Benjamin Fulford. You know what I mean? Kazarians. He's another guy that makes like daily predictions that don't come true, and meanwhile, he makes daily predictions. I make daily predictions that do come true, and I have 3,000 subscribers. He makes daily predictions that never come true, and he's got like 35,000 subscribers. This is an unjust world that I live in, Shane. It really is. I mean, that's why I reacted to your blog so heavily. I was like, this is just simply an unjust world. You know what I mean? Like, God, why do bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people? It's ridiculous.
Oh, you're still so sad about it. I understand.
Do you? Do you? You know what I mean?
No, I really do. I mean, how long has this been going on? You must be deeply hurt.
This is like the story of my life.
You must be deeply hurt by it. You must be.
It's not about being deeply hurt about it. It's literally it's this feeling of that one day the Rubik's Cube is going to fall into place. That one day I'm going to crack the nut and figure out exactly like how to tell the people that it's in their best interest to listen to people who tell them the truth rather than to waste their time listening to people who give them lies. But so far, not so good. You know what I mean? I still continue to knock my head against the wall of the conspiracy theory New Age community, trying to figure out.
No, you're knocking your head against the wall of you're not the authority of what truth is, and therefore,
Shane, before
you don't get to make that decision.
But
I know that hurts. I know that hurts.
Wait. But unfortunately, well, no, wait. Excuse me. As I prepare to host you with your own Picard, because weren't you the one just saying that none of this was true when you were talking about the global currency reset? But
absolutely, and
absolutely,
that's it.
so
That doesn't mean you can't say that it's not true. Yeah, I'm just my point is that just because you say that it's not true doesn't mean everyone's going to believe you when you say that it's not true.
okay, so now
Just
here
like
we
not everyone's going to believe me when I say it's not true, even if they believe that I am someone who would know better.
okay. Now I want everyone at home to pay careful attention to those last 3 or 4 sentences that just came out of Shane's mouth, and I want to welcome to my own personal existential hell of dealing with this individual. Every time me and Shane start talking, there's this amazing point in the conversation where we leave planet Earth and we go into this kind of nebulous zone of endless philosophical hall of mirrors, like it's nobody's business. Like, not only is it a hall of mirrors, but it's a hall of mirrors um, with a smoke machine and and a couple of clowns in there juggling, just to keep it spicy, right? Just to make sure that we're really have no ability to put to touch stone on
But the
planet
bottom
Earth.
line is, it doesn't matter which one of us says what is true is not true. That doesn't make it true or not true just because you say it or I say it. I can say the blue avians are not true for fucking how long has it been? And there's still going to be people who don't believe me, don't agree with me,
Yeah,
don't think that they are bullshit, right?
right.
So that's what I mean by that. It's the same thing, you know.
Well, but it is the same thing. But at the same time that it's the same. First of all, look, okay, so there's a way of looking at the situation, and this is something that I come up against all the time. So here's an argument that can be articulated. People see me carrying on the way that I do, talking about the various people in the community that I talk about, right? And every once in a while, someone will say to me, as if it's for the first time, as if they're the first person that it occurred to say this to me, says, "CW Chanter, dude, people are going to believe what they want to believe, right? People are going to do what they want to do. So instead of getting so banged up about talking about these other people and their ideas and why you're upset with them, just do your own thing, man. You'll be much happier and life will go much smoother." But no offense, I say to those people, like, that's the exact same attitude that led to, and I know this is going to sound a bit hyperbolic, and I'm not for a minute suggesting that Corey Good is Adolf Hitler, right? It's like that internet rule that says, like, it's like exactly like all conversations on the internet eventually devolve to Hitler. But it's this notion of not speaking, to truth. There is I believe that there is an objective truth regarding certain elements and certain things that go down, and that it's not that I care that I won't be able to that success is defined by winning everybody over to my conception of the truth. What it is the notion of needing to find a way to articulate to people in this topsy-turvy world where people have various spiritual beliefs, the people have various different levels of evidence that they're willing to accept to support conclusions about alien life, or the wheel of karmic return, or the effectiveness and efficiency of magic. At the same time, in this world, you're going to see people engaged in fuckery, and you're going to have to figure out some way to call that stuff out and and try to achieve some goal in it. Like, I feel like my motivation is, like, though my motivations can lead me sometimes to a level of frustration, I still feel as though I'm engaged in some sort of honorable pursuit in speaking about these things. You know what I mean? Like, some things are nefarious. Some people in this community are nefarious actors engaged in getting up to no good. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? Just not talk about it?
I
I don't know.
wouldn't
It seems
suggest that at all. I definitely
right.
think that I think that it's worth talking about. Right?
But
And
do you? Because
even if
we
it's
just
about me, even
no
if
no.
it's about me, dude, who was the first person who reached out to you? Right? Like, don't pretend like I don't feel that way.
No, no, no.
I've felt like that, and I've acted out that I feel that way since the day that you and I first spoke, and so you you have to accept that
Right.
that's true.
I first of all, don't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. I don't think says anything, right? But then again, but I was reacting in real time to what you just said before, which was this notion of right after you called out and said that there was no such thing as the not necessarily no such thing as the White Dragon Society, but this global currency reset was not something to put stock in. And then we did this whole nightmarish return to everything with you and me devolves into that one scene in Princess Bride with the two cups with maybe one of them's got poison. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've developed an immunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's
And, you,
forget
and, you,
about
and you're
it.
just screaming inconceivable over and over again.
No, you know what hanging out with I feel like the conversation between you and me is always like it's not that we're not playing 4D chess. We've stepped up to the gaming table. And the name of the game is 4D chess. Unfortunately, neither of us really knows how to play 2D chess. I mean, we know how the pieces move, right? But as far as like playing 2D, like knowing how to play chess, it's just this mockery of like just moving like, oh, I know that the queen can go like this and the rook can go like an L. And here goes the bishop at an angle. You know what I mean? And the queen can do all of those things. Oops, lost my queen. Yikes. And meanwhile, when you enter into the dimension of 4D in that methodology, we're just chasing each other around like nightmare sprites, like lightning bugs on acid, trying to find their way to the honeysuckle pod or whatever. You know what I mean?
That definitely sounds about right.
It sounds about right, right? And it's one thing, you see, it's one thing when we let that insanity just occur between me and you in a closed enclosed space where no one else has to suffer. But look what we've done to the world. You know what I mean? Like we're like actually like I feel like, in some way, right? Maybe it's a question of at this point, we shouldn't be asking ourselves, we shouldn't be contemplating the morals and ethical implications of the actions of Corey Good. Rather, maybe we should look at, turn the mirror on ourselves and ask ourselves, what are we doing with our lives? And how dare we not only do this to the people, but also think about poor Google, who has to like in their own way become complicit in the crime, right? By committing these ones and zeros in some way to eternity.
Yeah, someone at Google is getting really upset right now. You need to stop talking
Some
about it.
algorithm, is going to break. It's like they don't know what to do with this. They're like, we don't know whether we should flag this video because it's obscene. We don't know whether we should flag this video because it represents a danger to ourselves and others. You know what I mean? Or if it's just some other reason or rationale. Maybe we should start singing Rolling Stone songs. Really throw it for a loop.
Well, anyway, so let's get back to topic.
Can we? Okay, so there we go. So check this out. It was a couple of months ago that a young David Wilcock. Okay, so Jordan, did you know about Jordan? Do you know about QAnon?
Yes, from a
Okay,
couple
so you know
different
about
levels.
a couple different levels. Oh, here we go. This is gonna be a nightmare. Couple different levels. Anyway, so check this out. So Jordan Sather started off as an acolyte of David Wilcock and Corey Good, right? He goes out to the Mount Shasta convention. He starts hanging out. He starts doing interviews with William Tompkins. He's ingratiating himself into the scene. His YouTube channel starts to do a little bit of growth, right? Then this whole QAnon thing happens with the election of Donald Trump, and everything goes friggin' bananas. And conspiracy theory world, a huge portion of it goes off into the Q zone. And Jordan Sather jumps on the QAnon train real early. There's some speculation that he may have had the second or third or fourth video about QAnon on YouTube. So his channel just blew up. I mean, there's speculation about how it blew up, why it blew up, but there's no doubt that the numbers are there, that he's got a fairly big channel for this community now. And then shortly thereafter, it seemed like David Wilcock, it seemed like Corey Good was the first guy to try to jump on the Q train as well. And David Wilcock shortly thereafter started doing the same thing, talking positively about Q and saying things like it or not, Donald Trump is the alliance choice of president and stuff. Yeah, right. Exactly. It was getting nuts. You know what I mean? And I called it. I said, look, I said, and then this was also around the time that David Wilcock started to notice, like around the early part of 2000 and, late part of 2017, I think early part of 2018 was when maybe David Wilcock formulated the opinion that he may have had gotten enough or gotten as much out of Corey Good as he possibly could on the cosmic disclosure front. And that's when he started moving in Emery Smith, right? Do you know Emery Smith?
No.
You don't even know. See, this is what I'm talking
No.
about. Like you're like Christopher Walken in the Dead Zone. You've been like in a coma for so long. I'm about to tell you that your former fiance is now married to a guy who's like, going to be president of the United States and some hellscape future. You know what I mean? Deal with it. You know what I mean? This is welcome back to planet Earth.
No,
You know
people have been. I've been like, I every once in a while still look at the emails that I get, and people have been emailing me about QAnon for months.
Okay, QAnon, but you slept on it. Well, anyway, so he started moving this Emery Smith guy in, whose story was different than Corey Good, but he started moving and interviewing him on Cosmic Disclosure, which I can you imagine? Let me ask you a question. Knowing Corey Good the way that you do, how do you think that Corey Good reacted to another individual being brought forward as a whistleblower on Cosmic Disclosure?
Oh, not well.
Not
Do you want a little story?
Yes, yes.
All right. Right around the time that Corey had introduced me to David and Corey and I were all talking to each other respectively. David and Corey were talking. David and I were talking, and David did a conference, and he had given Corey and I a live link, and I was sitting at home watching it, listening to it. Sorry, with my girlfriend at the time, and the forum was up at the same time, and people on the forum were listening to it live. And David was talking about a lot of the stuff that I had told him about. He actually brought up a lot of stuff that ended up in my blog. And Corey was getting mad on the forum at the time in like live response to it because David was talking about things that Corey didn't tell him. And my girlfriend who was watching it at the time, who doesn't pay attention to any of this stuff, was just like, why is he acting like a jealous girlfriend?
Oh my God.
So going back that far, that response, no surprise. That's Corey.
That's Corey. That's our Corey. At it again, right? You know what I mean? That should be like his tagline on the sitcom that is his cosmic life. In the sitcom that'll never inevitably be all of our collective life review. That'll be his line. Like that's our Corey. Oh my God. So David Wilcock starts to move in Emery Smith. But anyway, shit goes down at Gaia TV for some reason. No one's quite knows why. David Wilcock and Corey Good and Emery Smith leave Gaia TV, okay, under some kind of shady circumstances. Gaia TV ends up, Patty Greer?
Yeah.
Okay, so they sue Patty Greer. Gaia TV sues Patty Greer because Patty Greer is going all over the place, including Alfred Lambermont Weber, that old honey bunch, that old Care Bear, going on his channel and accusing them of all sorts of nefarious activities of being Luciferian, satanic sons of bitches, and all this stuff, right? So they go out and they sue her. The Gaia TV sues Patty Greer for going around and talking all this smack. And they also bring all these contractual claims because there was some distribution deal that they had with her that went south for her Crop Circle movies. Okay. As that's going on, this letter gets circulated amongst people on the internet that David Wilcock claims was his letter of resignation to Gaia TV, but which somehow got in the hands of Laura Eisenhower for distribution to Facebook and beyond, right? And in this resignation letter, he basically makes all these accusations about them using him to promote Luciferian ideals, right? So remember, David Wilcock has already appeared on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who, Jimmy Church is all involved in everybody's business. He's promoting the crap out of David Wilcock and Corey Good, right? So anyway, David Wilcock, this letter comes out where he accuses Gaia TV of being this hotbed of Luciferian activity, and he's not going to promote it. And he also says starts saying things about being that he can't promote this stuff because in some way, shape, or form he's a Christian now, right? It's incredible. So, long story short, this whole thing goes south or whatever, and David Wilcock and Corey Good are on the skids from Gaia, and they're just on the outs. At the same time that they start promoting this new movie by Roger Richards, aka Roger Ramsour, aka Emma Gold, called Above Majestic. Are you in the loop as far as Above Majestic is concerned?
No, I know Roger obviously, but I'm not anything other than nothing recent.
You know Roger, obviously.
It should be obvious.
Why should it be obvious?
Well, because I'm Shane the fucking Rooter and he's Emma fucking Gold. That's
That's
why.
it.
You know,
Say no more.
obviously our paths have crossed.
The paths have crossed. Did you ever think it? Were you ever approached to work with the Full Disclosure Network?
Not exactly. We spoke once. We had kind of talked about doing like maybe an interview or something, but no, it didn't go very far because he was already very far up Corey's ass at that point in time, and I'm the person who just kind of laughs at Corey and likes to repeat over and over again um, that he's just an asshole.
He's just an
He's
asshole,
just an
right?
asshole.
He's
But
just an asshole. What do you know? It's just the way that it goes. So anyway, so they're on the out. So I'm going to give you the whole timeline. So remember, at this point, Gaia TV is suing Patty Greer for talking smack about them. David Wilcock has left, and there's a thing called the Gaia Employee Movement that's apparently feeding all sorts of back channel information to Patty Greer, which led to her being sued. And basically, the claim of the Gaia employee movement was kind of part of like the hashtag Me Too scenario. Like they were complaining about all this abuse that they were suffering, including sexual harassment by this like nefarious healer that was like on site at Gaia TV. It's bizarre. Anyway, long story short, David Wilcock turns around and says that this show that they're promoting on Gaia TV called Ancient Civilizations, that's the brainchild of, I guess his name is Billy Carson. Do you know Billy Carson?
no.
No. So Billy Carson is a fine black brother who does this new show on Gaia TV called Ancient Civilizations, and when David Wilcock left, this resignation letter filtered around suggesting that this Ancient Civilizations show was a Luciferian in execution and intent. Right, a very very severe accusation to make in today's world, where Luciferianism is being implicated not only in the case of Harvey Weinstein, but also as far as Pizzagate and Pedogate is concerned, right? To call someone Luciferian in this day and age is essentially to call somebody a Nazi, right? So at this point in time, now it's Emery Smith, Corey Good, and David Wilcock are all out of Gaia. All of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, Emery Smith gets doxxed. His entire criminal record is put out into the internet and it's circulated to and pushed to all sorts of people in the community. Okay. Shortly thereafter, this guy Billy Carson is doxxed, and criminal records for him is pushed out into the community. Right? Um, do you remember? Do you remember? You were around. Were you around when Dark Journalist did a whole series of pieces about Corey Good? Like maybe like was it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, he and I had spoken at the time. That was just after Randy and I had done our interview too, right? And, they were referencing that a bit.
Right. So anyway, so at the time that Dark Journalist did that piece, that all of a sudden Corey Good or someone came out and started making threats about having boots on the ground in Boston, and no, and videotape appeared online of Bill Ryan's house in Ecuador. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like Vaughn told you, like I was close with her while that was all going on, so she was getting a lot of that, and Obviously, I
Okay,
was still hearing about it. That was right around the time I kind of stopped paying attention.
right.
And I'm glad that I did. Like I can't believe this is still going on. I can't believe I'm still being asked to talk about it. You're not the only person who's asked me. Like everyone's been like I honestly, like if you go back to the last interview I did about this with Randy, I think we both said it that we really hoped that was going to be the end of it, but apparently it's not. Apparently we have to keep beating this fucking
No, it's
this big
incredible.
blue fucking bird over and over again. I apologize for my language. It's just I think it emphasizes my frustration about all of this and just how absurd I find most of it. So
No, it is absolutely. So you remember even at the time that when that was happening, when they came after Yvonne, they didn't have the guts to even come out themselves and talk about Yvonne. What they do is, well, you remember they do this thing where, well, at the time, remember there was a couple of attacks that happened. Number one, there was the specific strategic attack on Yvonne Palermo, where they had Sabrina and Sterling, these two girls who knew no one from anybody, were just obviously like the like the Manson girls, like like Squeaky Frome and friggin' the other gal walking into the hearings, singing songs, singing Beatles songs as Charlie Manson sits up there on the witness stand. You know what I mean? They came out and they were making all sorts of implications about information that they had no idea, would have known no idea about regarding Yvonne's, medical history with her traumatic brain injury that they didn't know anything about. The only way that they could have gotten that information is from Corey Good and Roger, right? It was
yeah,
insanity.
I was like, her and I were speaking at the time when she got that email. It's just like, what the fuck are they doing now? And
It's incredible. Yeah.
is it like that's low. That's not a good human being. And
It's not a good human being. No,
I don't know,
exactly.
like
It's
the this form of media is just so dead, and it just really needs to kind of be put to bed in a sense. Like the whole I don't know. It needs to change. Something needs to change because otherwise we're going to keep talking about shit like this forever. And I'm pretty sick of it. Like that's kind of why I haven't bothered. I mean, I don't know if you'll ever get tired of it. I'm saying that
well, no, no,
saying that with
yeah,
affection,
yeah,
but
no,
at the same time, like, aren't we all kind of just tired of this topic? And don't we just wish that we could move past it? And what can we do to do that? And I want to continue with this because I really don't know what's gone on. So it's kind of nice to hear. It's
no,
kind
no,
of
no. But
nice to
we'll
hear.
get to it because
I
you're
don't know how the
jumping kind of
audience
ahead to
feel.
solutions.
The
We'll
audience
get to the solutions.
the
So here's
audience
what you
knows
do.
what's going on,
Right.
so they may not like this as much as I do. But
They're gonna
this is
have believe you me, they're gonna have a fine old time. They're gonna be
they're
okay.
hanging out with me, I guess, while I get entertained by all of these fucking
There
bullshit
you go.
stories.
That's fine. That's good enough for me. As far as look, if a little sunshine of happiness is visited upon your world, even if it's kind of surreal, uh, so be it. You know what I mean? That's an achievement as far as I'm concerned. And I think you're jumping ahead to a solutions oriented paradigm, which we'll get to. I think we'll get to, but first, before we do, I just want to bring you up to speed. We need to know the symptomology before we can diagnose the disease. We need to diagnose the disease before we can write a prescription for a cure. Does that make sense?
It does. I feel like this disease has been diagnosed so many times at this point that but yeah, that just that particular one. Obviously,
Right.
there's a bigger pattern there that we will continue to address. But um, yeah,
Well,
just the man's an asshole. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He doesn't treat people well once he's challenged in any sort of way, and that's just it. And you know, I personally, like, I would say that directly to him. If he were to reach out to me privately, I would say that to him privately. That's just how I feel. I don't tend to not like people, and I don't dislike him, but he's an asshole, and
right.
he needs to start being accountable for being an asshole, and
Well, the wheel of karma might take care of that. Not to cut you off, right? But don't you think the wheel of karma is just going to eventually, like that? Even though it might have been a long that we had to wait a frustrating amount of time, that eventually it all comes, full circle, and the bill comes at the end of the meal. You can order as many extra plates as you want to, but eventually come closing time, they're going to put a bill on your table that you're going to have to reconcile.
True. I, that'll happen when, at this point, like, because David's backed off of him, he doesn't really have any kind of real support anymore. I think that once once people stop talking about him, it's gonna just kind of be over at this point. And yeah. Anyways,
So
to tell me some more stories.
I'll tell you so.
Maybe
It gets worse. It gets worse. So now David Wilcock, Corey Good, and Emery Smith are out in the wilderness. Emery Smith is appearing at some of these conferences with these guys, but there's a lot of distance, and there's a lot of distance opening up between David Wilcock and Corey Good. Even no one's really knowing if they're on the same page or what's really happening. Then what's going on is the next thing that needs to happen is they need to promote this movie that they made called Above Majestic that features the last interviews with William Tompkins, interviews with Michael Sala, Corey Good, Jordan Sather, and David Wilcock primarily, right? So you see that's like all the same faces and names coming back around again. Meanwhile, now that things are in the wild, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Emery Smith gets doxxed, as I said, and then Billy, this guy Carlson, gets doxxed a little bit. Now it gets to the point where, and we know that in the past, these guys doxed a dark journalist when that fight was going on, all that stuff, and we already reviewed lightly and in short order what had gone on with Yvonne Palermo as well as other people. Moving forward into the future, though, we know that they're promoting this movie. And we know that over at Gaia TV, there are new people that are coming on. All of a sudden, Cosmic Disclosure brought out a new guy called Jason Rice, who was being vetted and interviewed by none other than Jay Weidner, right? At that point, Corey Good makes a statement on Facebook. Teresa Yaneros makes a brief statement that I think and see as mirroring the sentiments of Corey Good, though she has expressed to me her belief that she's got a nuanced and individual view and that it wasn't, concocted in concert or whatever. And Jordan Sather makes a video on YouTube, and basically they're talking about this new whistleblower, and Corey Good is saying, guess what? He knew back in the day, people were already telling him from the secret space program that the scene was about to be invaded by disinfo agents and LARPers, right? So he's laying this groundwork to say that Jason Rice is just ripping off his material and that he's a LARP, right? That he's like, and of course he never likes to name names when he's talking, when Corey Good is actually making a statement on Facebook. He just wants to say things like the Dark Cabal, they could get killed. I'm not saying that we would want them to get killed. And we're definitely not saying that we would want them to get tortured, but we know that people who mess with the Dark Cabal and Dark Alliance and do their bidding could sometimes run afoul of them and end up being tortured and murdered themselves and brown-stoned and all this stuff. Saying the worst possible things about the Dark Alliance that we all know is like you, me, Yvonne, Rand, dark journalist, Bill Ryan, et cetera, et cetera. It's all people of the audacity of not accepting Corey Good's story at face value and accepting everything he says, hook, line, and sinker. So they're promoting this movie, and then Jason Rice appears on Cosmic Disclosure, and Corey Good makes this statement saying that Jason Rice is a LARP. Jordan Sather makes this whole YouTube video that's bizarre and foolish, where he basically says for all the reasons that he believes Corey Good, he doesn't believe Jason Rice. Jason Rice has got no evidence to support his story. Oh, gee, sound like somebody you know. And Jason Rice, doesn't answer questions the way you'd expect someone who had actually been through these experiences to answer them. Sound like anyone you know. And Jason Rice came out of nowhere before just now coming on Cosmic Disclosure. No one had heard about him. So who vetted him, and who's saying this about them. And then he goes on to say, but now I'll tell you why I believe Corey Good. And essentially believes Corey Good for the same reason that the second George W. Bush believed in Putin, because he looked into his eyes and saw his soul, right? Saw the goodness of his soul, right? I just get a feeling. It resonates with me as true that Corey Good is the real deal. And it resonates with me as true that Jason Rice, who just happens to be competition in this narrowing field, is a doucher, right? Anywho, long story short, this happens, and Jason Rice comes out, and all of a sudden it turns out that just prior to appearing on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, Jason Rice got a cease and desist letter, essentially, from an intellectual property attorney. Did you hear that story? Shane has gone to sleep.
No, I did not.
Okay. An attorney with the last name Llaneros wrote Jason Rice a letter that said, as you may or may not know, Corey Good has certain intellectual property rights and concerns and trademarks in regarding to various subjects and topics related to the secret space program, 20 and back, whatever field. And don't utilize this information or blah blah blah, or you might be subject to, or take this very seriously. It's basically what I call an angry lawyer letter, which is basically tantamount to a threat. It's, we're going to sue you. You don't want to be sued, so you better stop doing what you're doing, right? Which is telling your own secret space program story, and how dare you? Don't you know that Corey Good owns secret space program, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what did Jason Rice do? Is Jason Rice did the exact opposite. To his credit, he takes the letter from the lawyer and publishes it on Facebook and Twitter, as well as his essay response called "No One Owns Disclosure." Right? Immediately, I grab onto the story, and another guy who's on YouTube, Joe from the Carolinas, grabs on the story as well. And then all of a sudden, it comes out. It's revealed that Corey Good has gone to the trademark office and tried to trademark various words and phrases like SSP, Secret Space Program, Dark Fleet, Blue Avians, Sphere Being Alliance, Return of the Guardians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, that sets the whole community on fire, because people are like, didn't Jordan Sather just make a video, and didn't you just call out Gaia TV for trying to trademark the term disclosure? So it's this bizarre thing where they're at the exact same time that they're accusing Gaia TV of being douchers for trademarking the word disclosure. At that very time, Corey Good was himself trademarking various phrases too, including Secret Space Program and SSP, which of course set the whole world on fire, because everyone's like, you're trying to trademark the term Secret Space Program? And people start going nuts about it, and I started going nuts about it. And this guy Joe from the Carolinas started, making videos about it. And Richard Dolan commented on it, and Joseph Farrell commented on it, and Jimmy Church, in his wonderful style, acted like it's no big deal. Don't even worry about it. A trademark is nothing. Yada yada yada. Sis boom bop. Long story short, everyone goes crazy, and everyone's going crazy. The plans over in Coreyland were, I swear to Jesus, if I'm lying, I'm dying. They had announced that on October 31st, 2018, they were going to have a masquerade ball to celebrate the release of this documentary film, Above Majestic, and Corey Good's new graphic novel, Return of the Guardians, right? They make this announcement. I make a video that very same day saying, if David Wilcock, who's heavily associated with Corey Good and heavily associated with this movie Above Majestic, just left Gaia TV alleging that they were Luciferians, do you guys think it's really such a smart idea to have an Eyes Wide Shut style masquerade party on October 31st, 2018? Did you know about the party scheduled for October 31st, 2018? No, right? Not so smart.
I
right?
I didn't know that whistleblowers threw parties. That's not something that.
Did you know that whistleblowers came out with graphic novels?
No, well, I guess that's something I've been hearing about for a while. Then
it's par for the course, right? You know what I mean? You gotta get the kids involved. You know, and give them something to laugh at. First of all, you and me both know. First of all, R.I.P. Stan Lee. I think at this point, if we're going to talk about graphic novels, we might as well give a shout out to the man, the master, Stan Lee, who just passed away today. Right?
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate. And do you know who just recently passed away as well?
Um,
The guy
Tell me.
who, the former landlord of Nintendo of America, was a man by the name of, I think his name was like Mario Savelli or something. And he always was famous because even though he was a multimillionaire, he still dressed with overalls and had a distinctive mustache, and his name was Mario. And it turns out that he was the reason that the Japanese video game Jumpman, when it came to America, was renamed Mario.
It's
So he,
me.
yeah, exactly. So the guy that Stanley died on the same day or around the same time that the guy who was the moniker inspiration for Super Mario passed away as well. Dark days. Dark days for conspiracy theory nerd culture, if you dare say. The masters have left us. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do or what to say. Anyway, there's so much more information to cover. So they're going to do this. And I point out the fact that that's crazy. If I'm lying, I'm dying, Shane. The very next day, you know, Stillness in the Storm, that guy, Jason Duchamps, what is his name? Do you know who's this guy?
Justin.
Justin Duchamps. Do you know Justin?
I've tried talking to him, but he wouldn't.
People, it's as if people are not allowed to talk to people that you would think that they would want to talk to in this community, right? It's as
Yeah, I
almost
got
like
when it came to Corey, I got a lot of that from that camp. It's just
that
like,
camp, right?
yeah.
And it's definitely a camp, right?
Oh, of course it is.
Camp Corey be good. Anyway, long story short, if I'm lying, I'm dying. The very next day after I point out that this is kind of crazy to have this Halloween Eyes Wide Shut party style masquerade ball on that night, Teresa Yaneros and Stillness in the Storm make a video announcing a mass meditation at 11:11 a.m. of that very day. Because they know and that this day is often associated with Luciferianism and louche farming. At which point, I want to say, Stillness in the Storm and Divine Frequency, where were you when these guys were doing all the planning of having the October 31st masquerade ball? Because you guys are obviously, heavily involved in the whole Corey Good scenario and the whole Corey Good camp, right? Where were you when this happened? When you just announced the plan, the masquerade ball yourself, Divine Frequency, on your channel, and with not a hint of, oh, and by the way, we know that this is something we want to explain, or we're going to like do a take back the night situation or scenario. Anyway, long story short, but now here's where it gets tragic, right? The world is going crazy and everyone's pissed off at Corey Good because of this trademark thing. The hashtag no SSPTM is trending amongst our community on Twitter. Everyone is up in arms. Like I said, Richard Dolan, Joseph P. Farrell, everyone and their mother is coming out and having stuff to say about Corey Good and this whole trademark thing. Okay. Now, what eventually ends up happening is it turns out that they make another comment about the October 31st party, and they announce that it's going to be canceled. And they say that the reason it has to be canceled is because there's security concerns, because they heard that the Dark Cabal, like the Dark Alliance, were planning to infiltrate the event. And because they couldn't guarantee the security of their supporters and fans, that though it was with a heavy heart to do it, they were going to have to do it. And he also announced that he was going to be dropping the trademark on Secret Space Program and SSP. Okay. So things are not so happy in Koreatown. Their amazing party is canceled, right? What are they going to do? And they've made this announcement that's about security concerns. And of course, I call it out. And I'm like, there's no way this is about security concerns, whatever. If I'm lying, I'm dying, Shane. Someone, just a random person on YouTube, makes a comment underneath my video about the problem with the Eyes Wide Shut party. And they go, oh, I live in Colorado and I actually went to that restaurant today for lunch. And she goes, they're famous for their crab cakes with citrus. Like, that's like what she said. And she goes, I talked to the staff to figure out what was going on. And I said, oh, are you guys planning anything for October 31st? Is there anything going on for Halloween here? And they told her, they said, well, there was something planned, but it got canceled because of lack of attendance, lack of pre-sales, lack of interest and support. And she just made an innocent comment underneath my YouTube video. Of course, you know what I did when I saw that innocent comment. I blew it the fuck up. I was like, I went crazy with it, right? Then we have another friend on Twitter who goes and who's actually involved in event planning. And she calls the location as well. And she gets confirmation over the phone that the thing got canceled because lack of interest and lack of attendance, right? So much for the security concerns. So we're all like, blah, blah, blah. Haha, you know what I mean? Your party got canceled because no one cares about your stupid comic book or your dumbass movie. You know what I mean? F you, Corey Good. You look like a jerk. No one likes you anymore. And I'm going crazy on YouTube. And I'm basically like, Corey Good, without Gaia TV behind you, without your amazing megaphone, you are now on planet Earth with CW Chanter. We are a parody. You know, we're at the same level. We've got access to the same things. Yada, yada, yada. Sis boom ba. F you, F you, F you, F you, F you, Corey Good. I don't like you. Da, 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 da. I don't like you. Corey Good. Fuck you, Corey Good. You suck. You suck. I'm like going nuts, right? I'm going ape shit about this. And we got this other guy, Joe from the Carolinas, that's covering it as well. Da, 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 da. The next thing we know, we turn around and this guy, Joe from the Carolinas, is doxxed. Now, check this out. If I'm lying, I'm dying. A small burner account on Twitter that had only been in operation since the beginning of November, I think, or just the end of October, that had no followers, really no followers, that had no people following it or supporting it. Really, it's a tiny little rando account. All of a sudden comes out with this docs on Joe from the Carolinas, who just turns out to be a PhD in psychology, who's actually a clinician who helps cancer patients, many of whom are dealing with end of life issues, right? So talk about a dox. Joe from the Carolinas was trying to keep his stuff on the low as much as he could because he had a lot of skin in the game. He was interested in the paranormal. He was interested in doing investigative journalism in this field. You should check out his channel if you don't know about it. He did amazing work on debunking the underground bases at Dolce. He's done a lot of great work, and he interviewed Jason Rice, and he was often also talking about the problems with Corey Good and the problems with Jordan Sather. So this nonsense burner account comes out with his real name. They in the docs, they at his place of business where he works, the hospital where he works, the cancer facility where he works. Okay. And they at every single person who had ever had a problem with or talked shit about Corey Good or David Wilcock. They added Patty Greer. They added me. They added a dark journalist. They added Joseph P. Farrell. They added Richard Dolan. Basically sending a clear message. Oh, by the way, we're willing to release your real name and address and phone number and deets. I mean, they released all this stuff. So, but whatever. So it's this tiny little account. Okay, it's going to be okay, right? Jordan Sather, if I'm lying, I'm dying, within on the day of the midterm elections, when we know that Jordan Sather's Twitter had to have been going crazy, right? He's Mr. QAnon. He's Mr. We love Trump, we love Trump, we love Trump. The notion that his Twitter that his activity was silent or just, at a bare minimum, just like beeping along on the day of the midterms elections is ridiculous. We know, you can look at his timeline and know that there was a ton of activity on this day of the midterm elections. I swear to Jesus that 45 minutes after this burner account put up the docs on Joe from the Carolinas, Jordan Sather retweets it to his 66.8 thousand followers with a retweet and a recomment. Okay. Basically calling out Joe from the Carolinas and saying, yada, 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 ha, ha, ha. I guess this person is trying to hide some stuff. They included in the docs like a criminal manifest, like for a domestic violence charge or a request for a restraining order. And immediately everyone is talking about, oh, this is proof that Joe from the Carolinas beats women. He beats women. He beats women. Meanwhile, if they had looked at the data contained in that criminal charge, it wasn't even the request for the restraining order was denied. And you and I both know as dudes, the notion of a dude getting a restraining order, put against him and getting it denied means that there was like nothing to that story. And in addition to that, the biographical details of the person in question, the accused for the crime, was a dude in his 70s, right? So there's just no way that this is the right guy. They've put in false information about this guy, and he's a clinician working with cancer patients. So I said to myself, and we got a guy called Unirock who jumped on my channel, and we established that, dude, the original person who did the docs had to dig up this information, and when they dug up the information on their enemy, discovered that their enemy that they wanted to dox was an individual who works with cancer patients, many of whom are dealing with end-of-life struggles, right? And what is Joe from the Carolinas' big crime? He had the audacity of asking logical and rational questions about Jordan Sather, QAnon, and Corey Good's story, right? How dare he? That's not allowed. You're not allowed to do that, apparently, without risking your life getting totally effing ruined. But I want you to pay attention to that timeline. Within 45 minutes, we're supposed to believe that Jordan Sather, with 66.8 thousand followers, retweets and all over the stuff in the hundreds, comments within the hundreds. There's no way his commentary. We're supposed to believe that on the day of the midterm elections, Jordan Sather just randomly saw this docs on a burner account, right? And in addition to that, we know that Jordan Sather would have had to see that reinformation, look at it, and then made the decision not only to not make the decision to report the docs to Twitter. Hey, I might not like Joe from the Carolinas, and in many ways, shapes, or forms, he may be my enemy, but this is Twitter, and this is an obvious dox, and we don't play that game, so I'm going to report this to Jack. No, he doesn't do that. He puts a heavy comment on it to draw attention to it and retweets it to his 66.8 thousand followers, and then puts the information out there on Facebook as well. Jordan Sather, what a dick, right? Hearing that story, do you have any interest in ever talking to Jordan Sather again?
I mean, I would still talk to him, but
well, you're Mr. I'll talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
That's just a dick move, for sure. For sure.
That's a dick move for
I
sure.
it doesn't even sound like a dick move. It sounds like it's Jordan Sather's second account.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's exactly the point. There's no way, if anyone who's well versed in social media can look at this chain of events and not know that Jordan Sather did this action. I mean, talk about nefarious. But I guess if you want, at this point, Jordan Sather is like basically he's the Anakin Skywalker to Corey Good's Senator Palpatine, right?
Well, if not him, then someone from that camp for sure. Like it's too obvious.
Now check this out. This is where it gets even better, because the very next day after I go crazy with on my channel about the doxing of Joe, I go absolutely buck nutty in my own style, my own way. The very next day after I do that, guess what? They dox me, and not only do they dox me, they dox my dad. That's a dick move as well. Now at this point, Shane is going, well, if they doxed you, how do I feel about that morally and ethically? Silence. He's probably going to the bathroom. Anyway, we're going to assume that he's upset. He's so upset at the doxing of CW Chanter that he's.
No, I didn't realize I was still on mute.
Oh no,
that's it's just a dick move. I mean,
and not only, I mean, it's one thing to dox me, but they put my father's name out there. Yeah. Meanwhile, my father is in his mid-80s and is in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? They doxed a little old, like the quintessential little old man. I mean, it was ridiculous. And so it's just like, F you, Corey Good, whatever. And then he does this thing and watch. That pretty much brings us up to speed. I go off on him again for doxing me and my dad, yada, yada, yada. I go on various channels. Everyone's going nuts. The bloom is off the rose, I dare say, at this point. And people are knowing basically what this guy is about. You know what I mean? Knowing exactly what this guy is about. And then they tried to have one of these, full disclosure now event parties in Washington, D.C., that if you saw it on Facebook was attended by like no one. was basically a total flop. So F these guys.
That's funny. Go figure, right?
Go figure. Go figure that eventually the community of people that are all about white light and brotherhood and humanity and good works towards fellow man and high vibrational diets and being more of service to others than service to self would eventually catch on to the fact that Corey Good is like yesterday's douche. That's my theory. So I think so anyway, having completed the story, here's where we're at now. So having gone through all that and kind of bringing you up to speed as best as I could, would you say that I did would you give me an A+ and a gold star as far as my recollection of events and a summation of the scenario for you?
How would I know?
This fucking guy. Well, what, do you think I'm lying to you?
Well, probably not, but I just...
Probably. Hold on, asshole. You come onto my channel, we go through all this to have you at the end say that I'm probably not lying to you.
Yeah.
I'm CW fucking Chanter. I don't lie to people. I don't lie to people, Shane.
Okay,
I don't
you're
lie
not
to
lying.
people.
You're not
I'm not lying.
Whether or not you missed anything or embellished anything, I don't fucking know.
Embellished? How the fuck am I going to embellish a Twitter timeline? How could I get that was total Cliff Notes. There was like very little editorialization there. This effing guy. Oh my God. You know what I mean? I'm going to send you back to Canada Winterland for freaking another year and a half. We'll thaw you out next time. Something happens in the timeline, which will probably involve Corey Good coming to New Jersey to try and shoot me. I joke until it happens.
I caught something while watching you about Joe and some girl, and she was doing a live stream, and you were going on about applying to the community. So I think I missed within you recapping all of that. I think you might have missed that, but
wait, what did I miss? What happened?
Well, I watched a part of one of your videos where you were pretty upset with Joe.
Oh, that was about Teresa and Eros, but that turned out to be guess what? This is going to be able to underline the distinction between me and Corey Good. What happened was there's Teresa and Eros.
Name sounds familiar, but no, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Wait a second. Yeah.
Divine frequency.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So she made the decision as shortly after the whole thing was happening with the cancellation of the masquerade ball. She came. I missed Joe and Teresa. Okay, so I missed. Okay, so Joe from the Carolinas. Teresa Llaneros made a blog post announcing that she was leaving the Sphere Being Alliance and group and the Full Disclosure Project, and she was no longer going to be working or associated with them at all. And that was also announced in some form that she was no longer romantically involved with Stillness in the Storm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, what are you gonna do?
Romantically involved with the website?
I guess so. Or with this guy. You know what I mean? We are our work.
Good for you, Teresa. Good for you, Teresa.
There you go. You can do better. Anyway, no, it is what it is. But the bottom line was that then she was going to do a live stream where she was going to talk about the contents of her blog. And Joe from the Carolinas announced that he was going to do a live play-by-play, meaning that he was going to watch her live stream in real time, pausing occasionally to include color commentary, right? This is prior to the doxing. This is like immediately prior to the doxing. Yeah. So he's doing that, and he had conceded to the meaning. I think he conceded to the community that obviously he needed to get her permission to do the coverage. So we knew that there was some form of background, communication happened, back channel communication happened between them, even to just establish the permission or to get the, to get that set up or whatever. So that happens, and then immediately as she's ending her live stream, Teresa Llaneros makes this kind of weird announcement to say that she was one in the smiling like she smiles, that she wanted to involve herself in community outreach, and she was going to talk to she was willing to reach out and talk to one of the people that was one of her harshest critics, Joe from the Carolinas. And I'll be completely honest, I went on my live stream and I was like, this is some bullshit. I was like, this looks like a pre-planned thing. Now, Joe from the Carolinas denies that it was a pre-planned thing, and I've accepted his explanation because there's no reason to have wars. I mean, if it's a small thing for me to say that I was mistaken, and it's a large thing for me to hold a grudge against another human being and to keep a war going. So if he told me that it wasn't pre-planned, it wasn't pre-planned, whatever. So he appeared on, and I had a video where I was like kind of critical of. I think I take that video down because I think it's exploitable because people take it as an opportunity. If you see the first hours of it, you don't get to the end part where I'm saying that it was a misunderstanding or whatever. It is what it is. I mean, I'll probably leave it up because I don't take it, but then again, it's part of the record and people have the right to see what I said and when I said it and what was going down. I was as pissed as a crab in a bucket, as some might say. Um, so whatever it was, that was that controversy. That was that controversy. And now Teresa Yaneros, having just left the Full Disclosure Project, is now going to be where she's moving up to KGRA Radio, where she's going to be taking over John Rappaport's slot on associated with Jimmy Church on Fade to Black. Ain't that an interesting turn of events?
Ooh, the plot thickens.
The plot is as thick as all get out. In the streets of Jersey, from the streets of Jersey to the streets of fair Canada, the plot is thick. From Colorado to LA and back, the plot is thick. On the airwaves, on the internet, the plot is thick. But at this point, hey, it is what it is. And looking at the whole thing in retrospect, I think the real questions that we need to ask ourselves is the following. Are we as a community ready to make a hard distinction between shows and products that are geared towards the disclosure and ascension and conspiracy theory community? Are we willing to make a hard line to turn off those sugary drinks, as far as I'm concerned? The Coast to Coast AM, the Fade to Black, no offense, the Fade to Black, anything like Edge of Wonder, any of these friggin' Leak Project, any of these fucking everything's happy go lucky, and we're gonna get high and talk about conspiracy theory shows. I'm done with it. Those entertainment products and just concentrate on people who are. I think at this point we can make a left turn into solutions oriented paradigms to say, I've said this before, and maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. The solution to mainstream media is not alternative media, because it's got its own problems. The solution to mainstream media and alternative media is no media, right? Who needs these effing conferences? Who needs these stupid, bloated, old dinosaur paradigms of the internet radio broadcast, of the interview and all this stuff? Who needs celebrity whistleblowers? In a world where everyone and their mother is here because we've had abstract and bizarre experiences, right? Why the F do we need to gather around the conference table to buy a book or to listen to some douche like David Wilcock or Corey Good blather on about their thing that is basically the same as everybody else's story anyway?
Well, exactly. Why not just get around a campfire and tell each other's stories?
Exactly. So there you go. So maybe what do you think? Do you think that that's going to happen, or do you think that we're just hoping again? We're just hoping and praying for change that may not happen.
Well, I've been waiting for it. I mean, that's what I wanted to do with my podcast for sure, and kind of what I've been encouraging is just like, if you call me the ruiner, I really hope I ruined the idea of like that whistleblower in that sense, and we can move on past that, and everyone can just tell their stories and not judge each other and just listen and accept and be a community instead of talking like we're one.
But they do. Well, I like everything except the no judgment. That's kind of like
I mean personal judgment.
oh,
You know what I
well,
mean.
even
Like
that.
judging. Well,
Right.
if someone's being an asshole, they're being an asshole, right? It's
Right.
just all I mean is like if someone's telling their story, whether if you don't believe it, that doesn't mean you need to be a dick to them, right?
Right.
Like it doesn't mean you have to treat them poorly. Even like I'm not a dick to Corey, other than I call him an asshole all the time. I don't troll him. I don't reach out to him. I don't send him emails being like you're an asshole. Any of the above, just because
That's
I
my
think
job.
there you go. So there's ways to respectfully disagree, and we're all mature enough to do so. So we don't really need to do that.
Okay. Well, that's pretty. So, is there anything having been brought up to speed about the events as they unfold from a pragmatic standpoint, meaning that there's obviously implications to Corey Good, doing what he always does. But do you have anything about the timeline or the events that I set out for you, that and anything additional that you would want to say about them before we move on in the conversation and talk about your plans, your future plans? If you got any ideas about what we can do to um, hasten that new dawn of a world where we're just talking around the campfire and not repeating or aping the products or the paradigms that come to us from mainstream media, like the radio show or the interview or the promotion of the item or information as product.
Well, wouldn't that be nice? Imagine, right?
Well, yeah, what? Imagine that you would have a response or some advice for.
Well, that wasn't a real question. You didn't ask me that question. Come on now.
What question?
You, you,
What
you,
question did I ask?
you asked if I had anything to say about the timeline before.
Well,
Yeah,
do you
but
have
anyway,
anything? Well, do you have anything to say about the timeline?
but yeah, I don't really, I didn't follow it, so I don't know. It's sounds interesting. It's kind of funny that it all unraveled that way.
Right.
Very, very telling where everything ended up, But I think it's certain establishments trying to hold on to a form of media that they've had for a while and just put a new fresh coat of paint on and aren't really ready to give up quite yet because they just put a new fresh coat of paint on it, or so they thought.
Right. So there you go. So what are your plans? What are you going to do next? Are you going to go back to your uh, cave in the Great White North? Are you going to grace us with your presence? Get involved again? We know that you've got the. What do you still maintain the Facebook page? I mean, what do you still maintain the blog? Are you going to do something with your YouTube channel?
Yes, I probably will. I haven't quite figured out what yet, but I've got some stuff I need to do, and then yeah, I don't know. Probably will start making some videos just in my free time, talking about nonsense for fun, and that should be fun. Yeah, I think some people have been reaching out to me recently just to interview me and stuff, so I'll probably respond to some of those emails because I haven't been doing that for a long time now, as you know. And
You haven't been responding to emails.
I haven't been responding to anything. I just haven't been paying any attention to my. Other than I post on Instagram all the time because it's pictures, and that's fun. But that's about that.
What are you, a 12-year-old girl? You post all the time on Instagram because we're talking about trying to raise the frequency and the vibration of the room, and this guy is like posting pictures. I mean, that's what, like, I mean, talk about, like, I mean, when it comes, I'm not on the gram, but here's my notion. It's like Facebook is cancer, right? Facebook is terrible, right? Agreed.
Yeah,
And then Twitter is like
it's all terrible.
and then Twitter is like, if you don't have the time and effort and energy to participate in Facebook, here you can just, like, instead of like taking the time to like lay out nuanced arguments to each other about why you hate each other's political positions and no longer wish to talk to them ever again since the 2016 election. Let's take you to Twitter, where you could just like shoot random high velocity mini rounds at each other in a paradigm and a context that cripples any notion of fully articulated or nuanced statements about highly complex issues, right? So it's like
Yeah,
one step down, right? It's terrible. It gets even worse when you get to Twitter, right? Agreed?
yep. Instagram's a little different just because it's
Well,
mostly
no,
like,
but Instagram is even worse because it's like, oh, you're sick and tired of using words? Let's go back to pictures.
no, people use words too. People
They
use
use
words too.
words too on the
There's a
gram.
lot of like poetry things and stuff too. Yeah, for sure.
Did you just
Even
say
you post a
poetry?
picture.
Did you just say poetry?
No, I did. And people post pictures with words
Oh,
associated with it, right? Because you could write the
oh,
comment. It's just like posting a picture on Facebook. So it's essentially the same shit.
like lol.
Exactly.
Exactly, exactly. It's pictures. And first of all, poetry. It's 2018. Really, poetry? You know what I mean? Would you just get your first Smiths record? You're gonna write some poetry on Instagram? You know what I mean? An inspirational quote from the Buddha. How about this one? This I never get sick and tired of Mahatma Gandhi. Oh, you posted a Mahatma Gandhi quote to Instagram. Let me guess. Was it I don't know, be the change in the world that you want to see? Was it that one? Yeah. How'd I guess?
Because it's a good quote.
Yeah, for you, it's a good quote. It's an okay quote at best. Mahatma Gandhi was full of it. He was totally deep state cabal. Dude was totally Illuminati. He was COINTELPRO for Big Monarchy out of Great Britain. Everybody knows that.
Everybody. Everybody except for me, I guess.
You. Well, maybe if you answered your emails, you would have gotten my newsletter and you would have been informed about this.
Maybe,
There you
maybe.
go. Ignorance is bliss, big Canada. Ignorance is bliss.
It sure is.
What do you want before we go? Do you want to do some questions from the live chat?
Oh, I don't care what we do.
Get involved. Come
I'm
on.
just
For the
hanging
fuck
out.
I just want to point out, when it comes to this, when you're hearing this weak sauce response from Shane the Ruiner, I just want to tell you something. Well, maybe look, I mean, you've been out of the loop for a while, so you're not at the top of your game, which maybe I should be thankful for because you at the top of your game is like absolutely infuriating to CW Chanter, who just wants to do things like ask a straightforward question and get a straightforward response. You know what I mean? Like Shane the fucking Ruiner is the king of I don't know, what do you want to do, essentially. Like, though it's like we maybe articulated statements about like quantum physics and how it relates to the theory of reincarnation, you're still going to get back to him essentially a long-winded response that can be boiled down to I don't know, what do you want to do, or whatever you believe is possible, or maybe it's something else, right? You're like the king of like what you go like I bet there's like waitresses in Canada that refuse you service based on the fact that in response to what would you like to order, you give them like a kind of a look. You know what I mean? This is what I visualize from you. And ostensibly me and this guy are supposed to be friends and he's giving me this nonsense. Get involved. Do you or do you not want to take questions from the live chat?
Sure.
Care.
People.
And I just want to talk about the moral and ethical implications of not caring. You don't care what we do. The question is that people might have questions in the live chat, and you
Go
don't
ahead. Go ahead.
care.
Go ahead. Ask the questions. Keep it going.
You're talking to me in the live chat.
No, no. I think people are asking questions. I'm kind of just glancing at it now, but
Okay, well, how about this one?
pick them.
Now I'm gonna kick you in the balls. Here's what are Shane's thoughts on Mark Richards and Kerry Cassidy versus Kevin Moore?
I don't know who Kevin Moore is.
You've been out of it. Kevin Moore is making a document.
Oh,
Kevin
he's that
Moore.
guy.
Oh, he's the guy. He's the guy that's making the video about the documentary film about Mark Richards.
Okay, you just told me about that
Right.
before we started this. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I've never really read much of what Mark Richards says or anything. All I know is I know Carrie, obviously. So Carrie had said she believes him. So Whatever. I don't really pay any attention to what he says, so I don't have an opinion, I guess.
If you were to be informed that Mark Richards was serving time in prison for his involvement in the murder of an individual, would that affect your would that affect your opinion of Kerry Cassidy giving him? I'm not going to do that. Let's move on. Mark Richards, you don't know what the heck's going on, so I'm not going to do it to you. Here's a question from Oswald Spangler, CW Chanter. What is Shane ruining?
It was like it's a nickname. You'd have to go back to the original blog to get it. I don't really know how to explain it. And apparently whistleblowers and CW Chanter's mind, or at least a few of his, at least a few of his night's sleep. Definitely his YouTube channel, because when he started out, this is not what he started out to do, and I ruined that. So,
Hey, I
yeah,
ruined that. I listen. We all ruined it. You know what I mean? Or did we? Did we ruin it, or did we make it better? I guess we're ruining things to the top. All
there
I
you
know
go.
is that before Shane the Ruiner, my videos used to get like 3 views, and after I did the Shane the Ruiner video, my videos were getting like 30 views. It was like that's an increase of like 10 times. You know what I mean? That's pretty good stuff. Crystal ASMR asks Shane, have you ever thought about creating ASMR videos? I think you would do great. Very soothing voice.
I think my favorite quote about my voice was, "Dude, I would listen to you read the dictionary."
Well, there you go. Shane, have you talked to any giants lately?
No,
Are you sure?
I am sure.
Are you sure you're sure?
I'm positive. I'm sure.
When did that all stop for you? And do you regret your decisions that you made in life that caused you to no longer talk to giants?
Mm, it stopped at that experience I relayed, and no,
No, you don't regret it?
no.
My attitude about like if I had talked to giants, I'd have a hard time stepping down and being like, okay, now I'm gonna just hang out and like work this day job and occasionally go on late night tirades with CW Chanter.
I think it's almost human nature that we can get tired of any type of lifestyle if we do have it for too long. So,
So you just got sick and tired of talking to giants?
no, I guess you can't. I can't say that specifically, but I got tired of being involved with things that I didn't want to be involved with anymore. So.
Would you ever talk to a giant like on the low, on the regular? Like if a giant ever approached you, would you're not prejudiced against giants, right?
No, not at all. Of course, if you know like that were likely to happen, which it's not, then. But if it did, sure, I would be open to talking to said giant.
So, do giants have different personality types? Like what's the like? How many giants? Like, remind me again. Like, how many giants do you think you've spoken to in your career?
Giants in my career, not many. So I definitely different personalities between the ones that I did, but not. I can't speak for the whole. I would imagine so. I've never really. I don't know. Animals have different personalities, so I don't know why people wouldn't think that anything else would.
Right. Well, that's also that goes into like the notion of these people talking and coming back and talking about these alien races, and these alien races are always not only just a monoculture, they're a mono identity. They all act the same. Dracos are like this, Arcturians are like this, Lyrians are like this, right?
That's because they met one.
They met one, right? What was the funniest giant you ever met?
None of them were funny.
They were not funny.
No.
Were they super serial?
Yeah, very serial.
Very serial, like boringly so. Like, did they not? Were they intellectually intriguing or stimulating?
I wouldn't say so.
Really? They just
Well,
kind of were they just kind of dull? I mean,
it's not like we were having like philosophical conversations or anything. So, no, I
why
wouldn't say.
not? Oh, uh, Sasquatch. Sasquatch. You've talked to multiple Sasquatches, right?
You don't really talk to Sasquatch.
What do you do to Sasquatch or with Sasquatch?
Um, try to avoid getting them upset.
Are they psychic?
Yes.
Hmm. Do they what gets them upset? Like,
I guess it would depend on the situation and the one that you were dealing with, right? So, obviously, being aggressive towards one would do that. Maybe getting closer than it wanted you to.
here's a
But
life hack: don't be aggressive towards Sasquatch. Right?
well, obviously,
Obviously, there you go.
I love the vague questions where it's like just too general to even give a response to.
Well, what I mean, well, you started the general, and I would get more specific, but unfortunately, like when we got to the Giants, you weren't even having like philosophical conversations, so it's not a lot to build on.
I mean, I can't. I'm not going to talk about what was discussed. It just wasn't that type of
But
conversation.
why not? Why wouldn't you talk about like at this point you're out of the game, right? Like, do you think like are you going to suggest to me that if you talk to CW Chanter, the CW Chanter audience about what was discussed with
No,
the
no, it's
Giants,
not.
that
It's not
something
like I'm not worried
happened?
about getting in any kind of trouble. It's just not worth the time, to be honest.
Why not? It's a conversation with fucking Giants. How could it not be worth the time?
Well, with you because you don't believe any of it. You're just trying to. You're
No,
try,
well, no, what? What?
so why
But
bother?
wait. But look, this is like if I didn't believe, like if you told me, like if I'm like your like if I'm your like 57-year-old father and you're my 17-year-old son and you just broke up with a girl and you're on your bed crying and I say, kid, you're gonna get over it. It's young love and you know what I mean. And you say to me, you don't understand. I love her.
Well,
We
because
cheat
I've
on
answered the question
someone.
before. It wasn't like a conversation, and I like, hey, let's talk about you and me type conversation. It was trying to explain a situation and calm
Right.
down a situation and make sure it didn't escalate into something else. So
It's like
it really wasn't like a dialogue in terms of like, hey, let's get to know each other. You know, so
it's more
it
like a drug deal gone bad.
yeah, and like I can't well, sort of, I guess. I can't remember I can't remember exactly like the flow of the conversation that would have come out of that because it wasn't that type of a conversation, right? It was just making sure that they understood what was going on and leaving it at that.
And what was going on again?
They were waking up, and they shouldn't. They didn't know why they were waking up. Didn't understand where they were. Very groggy.
Did they go back to
To put it
sleep?
in, did they go back to sleep?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They just like they kind of just saw everybody there, rolled over, and went back to sleep. No big deal.
Are you bullshitting me? Did they do something else? Did they get up and like, well, fuck it, we're up? You know
Well,
what I
like
mean? Like,
this
when you
is
get up at 3 o'clock in
it's
the
all in the blog. It's all in every other interview I've
yeah,
done.
but I'm fine.
You, are
But we're having but words
are
like
we
words on a written page.
okay?
I've got you live
All
now.
right.
You
No,
can't fucking
they
can't
didn't go
humor
back
me,
to
and
sleep. They didn't go back to sleep.
they didn't go back to sleep.
No, they didn't go back to sleep. They were taken someplace safe.
So like, okay, okay, well, whatever. Are you sure? Because it's someplace safe that you decided to leave, right?
Actually, I'm not sure.
Right.
I
So
have to trust. I have to trust what I was told.
let's here's my idea. Here's my attitude about it. Let's bust them out.
We want to go break them out?
Let's go break them out.
That'd be fun. Can we videotape it?
Yes, absolutely we can. We
Awesome.
must. We'll live stream it. We'll get big numbers.
That would be badass, and like someone would definitely make a movie about it.
There you go. What can I? I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm honestly curious at this point in time when I ask you this question. What were they wearing?
Nothing.
Damn, Skippy, nothing.
Nothing. One was kind of like a robe, I guess at first, but didn't last very long. And no, nothing.
Nothing. What? How tall were they again?
I can't remember numbers very well.
Right. But it's like a giant
But
schlong, right? They could have
well,
knocked your head off, right?
so yeah, I don't even remember now. Somewhere
You
between
you
20
did
and
it.
14, 20 and 14, I think it was.
So you're gonna
24.
tell me that you didn't pecker check the naked giants?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I saw what they were packing.
Got to be considerable, right? Guy could do some damage.
It's not always the case. Sometimes it's, big shoulders is compensation for something that's lacking.
Oh, interesting. There you go. Take that, Giants. Well, wherever they go, if that's safe, I hope I hope they give them some drawers. You know what I mean? Were they all dudes, or were there any chicks in the bunch?
All dudes.
That's gotta suck, right?
Right. No,
Man,
no giant naked females for
unfortunately, right? The might
the
because
ruiner. Yeah.
I'd be like, well, that I would have led with that question. I would have been like, please. Okay, anyway, crawl inside. The sexual implications are endless, right?
That's just gross.
How so?
Well, because crawl inside. Come on, FCW.
Well, no, maybe not. Well, I don't mean like crawl inside, but you would have to if you were to have if you were to make love to a giant woman, you would have to rethink your whole approach to the whole act, right?
Absolutely would.
So it would be like a full body involvement, right?
Hypothetically, yes. I would say so.
Well, I mean, hypothetically, hypothetically, yeah. But you ever think about it?
No, I haven't thought about that.
You've never thought about sex with giants.
No, I've never thought about that. That's good
You've
though.
never thought about sex with giants.
No, I'm thinking about it now.
You are. And what I'm saying is that if a man wants to be a giver, right, there's a lot of opportunities there to take things to the next level.
You're just gonna have to crawl around and do the salsa or something.
Do this again. I'm thinking. Well, first of all, I'm like, I'd be there. First of all, I'd be like, I'd step out greased up. You know what I mean? I'd hit the town running. You know what I mean? There's a lot you could do. Because I'm
It's
thinking of
true.
it that you'd be able to get away from the whole your penis being the center of the sexual show, and you'd be able to just and not even think of just using your mouth. You'd have to think about getting your whole body involved, right, in order to get any sort of action happening. I'm thinking, right?
I'm not going to disagree. I'm
Well,
sure.
I mean, is my frank discussion of gigantus coitus shocking to you, sir? You're the guy
Well,
that's actually
it kind
talking
of,
to these people.
to be honest, it's kind of like you're one-upping the Blue Jay story from before.
But
I
no,
just
well,
taking something to a new level. I
but
just wasn't prepared for. You know.
here's where I'm gonna have to call bullshit. No, no,
I
check this
didn't
out. Check
think
this
it
out. No,
is
listen,
going to
hold on.
devolve into having sex with giants. That's what it comes down to.
Devolve into having sex with giants. I find your attitude about sex with giants to be quite what's the word I'm looking for?
Disturbing.
No, it's not disturbing. It's like I never figured you for a prude. It seems very provincial. Your attitude to act as though that sex with giants or having the conversation turned to sex with giants
It's
as
not out
being
of the conversation. I think it's funny that we got there. That's all.
well. First of all, I can't believe that you've known me for how many years and you're like shocked that it went there. I figured you'd be like,
I'm
okay,
not
well,
shocked.
how
It's
long
just
before the
funny.
conversation turns to sex with giants? But now that we're in the moment and we're talking about these things, what I'm saying and suggesting is a truism. I mean, if you were to have sex with somebody who was in a wheelchair or who was in some way, shape, or form differently abled, you have to, your activities and your actions, are tailored if you're a giver, not a taker. If you're not just one of these wham bam, thank you, man kind of brothers, which sounds like you might be. You might be one of those 5 minute brothers I've heard about. You know what I mean? That you're not even thinking about these things. I think about these things. Don't you know what I mean? And I figured that if you knew and you had met giants and knew that they were real, you would understand the implications of these possible relations.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've never thought about having sex with them. It just wasn't in my thought. I mean, now that you brought it up, it's interesting to think about, but not really my go-to.
I mean, what if you fell in love?
Hypothetically, then obviously I would have to think about it, but that hasn't happened yet, so I'm good for now.
Hypothetically, if you fell in love, you'd have to think about it. I mean, if you fell in love with someone, wouldn't you feel a natural desire to take it to the next level?
Yes, and if I hypothetically fell in love with a giant, then hypothetically I would have to think about it. What part of my answer aren't you understanding?
Well, it's Boy Scouts of America. Rule number one is be prepared, right?
True. Sure.
what if listen, forget about being like, falling in love. If we're talking here on the bleeding edge of conspiracy theory and new age spirituality, forget about falling in love. What if it's part of your mission? What if it's just something you got to do? What if you got to take one for the team? Whether it's about, it's either, CW Chanter lives to fight another day by escaping, and Shane the Ruiner is going to have to distract the large female giant somehow, right? Snoo snoo. Yeah, how could you not think about it? There's a Futurama episode about this stuff.
I'm sorry, I didn't think about that.
Well, I guess you're a better man than me. I don't know. It's debatable, right?
I don't think that makes me a better man. It just
Mm,
makes me a different man, I
makes
guess.
you a different man, I guess. Shane, have you ever seen Spinal Tap?
Nope.
When did I first bring up Spinal Tap to you?
Oh, it's been a while now. I still haven't watched it.
Would you say it's been more than about it's been about 3 years?
Yeah, I've got no idea. Maybe two, maybe three, something like that. All I know is turn it up to 11. That's just because other people have referenced it. That's all I know.
Ah, okay. Well, now I'm gonna make you feel like a real asshole because I'm gonna ask you a question. I want you to name three random movies that you've seen in the time that we last spoke about Spinal Tap and today.
I don't know what's come out. I watched Black Panther.
What are you?
Um,
What are you,
I
7?
watched
You saw Black
Justice
Panther?
League.
Oh God, look at this kid.
Yeah, I haven't really watched a lot of movies. I don't think I've rewatched a bunch of horror movies.
Like what? What have you watched? Like what we just had
Like
Halloween. What'd you watch?
all, well, I know it was probably before that, but all of the Nightmare on Elm Street, all the Friday the 13th, all of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all of the Halloween movies, all of those classic series.
Now, do you know that because you serially watch these and you repeat these and watch these every year, or you say because you for like Halloween or whatever, or for a purpose you rewatch them?
No, I just kind of got an urge to watch them, so I did.
There you go. Did you what it gets now it gets interesting because in 2018, when a guy like you and me talks about watching all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies or all the Friday the 13th movies, it gets a little bit fricazy because you have all these like newfangled ones. Like when you did Friday the 13th, did you do that one where it's like Jason's in space?
Oh yeah, I watched like all of them. Like they remade it not that long ago too, and um, yeah, I watched them all in like the order in which they were made.
In which order of release?
Yeah,
Okay. What's your favorite one?
like favorite series or favorite movie?
No, think like let's Friday the 13th. What's your favorite Friday the 13th?
Huh. Good question. I like the seventh one. I like the third and fourth one.
What was the one where they had the white chick that break danced and the black dude who got killed in the outhouse while he was singing?
I don't know.
You know the one I'm
What
talking about, right?
white chick who could breakdance? No, that's not.
And it's the one that's the one with Corey Feldman's in it, where he ends up shaving his head at the end.
Oh well, that's number four. I don't remember the other two parts of it you're talking about.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe what about Jason Takes Manhattan?
That's number eight.
That's number 8. What's number 7?
They call that New Blood.
I think it's Jason Lives is what we're hearing. Uh, True or
Jason Lives
false?
was six.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, you're right. Jason Lives is a 6. There you go. Which was the one that featured Alice Cooper's amazing song "Man Behind the Mask"?
Do not know.
Like, figure that shit out, brother. I think that's the one where he comes back to life, and it's because he's like brought back by a druid, or druid witchcraft brings him back or something. Who knows? Who knows? What'd you think of the Child's Play movies?
I liked the first couple, and then it just kind of turned into that horror comedy, which is okay, but I wasn't really digging it in that sense. Once you started having babies and getting married and shit, I was kind of checked out
Oh,
of it a little.
that's where it got ridiculous. That's the one. I like the one where he had a wife, but I was when they had the kid, I was like, and it wasn't just that they had the kid; it was that the kid was like their choice for the look and feel of the doll kid was a little too much for me.
Fair enough. I don't think I even watched it.
Well, then there you go. Best Freddy Krueger of all time.
My favorite's number 3. The first one's probably the best, but
Which one is Dream Warriors?
3.
That's awesome. First of all, kick-ass soundtrack with Vinnie Vincent Invasion and
And
Dokken. It's great.
Dawkins, yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's awesome. Freaking
Mm,
Dream Warriors. That's
yeah.
great, dude. And then they have all different powers. In my dream, I'm beautiful and bad, right? Remember that
And
one? And
bad.
bad.
So many
And
good quotes for that movie.
oh god, it's awesome. Yeah, it's fantastic, dude. And then yeah, so there you go. So yeah, so there you go. So hey, there you go. So horror movies, blah blah blah. So we're still like I mean, my attitude about it. Okay, I'm not gonna go back into the friggin' giants. Like once you've seen a giant, how you gonna go back and watch a horror movie? But I would be accused by you of trying to debunk you on the sly. I surmise and assume.
Hey, sometimes I still need to entertain myself.
There you go. Sometimes you need to entertain me. Wake me up. There you go. It happens. So there you go. So look. So what we'll do is now it's about for my time. It's and you're in the same time zone. So it's about 12:53 a.m. So we're coming up on a late night for us. And what we'll do is it okay? Do you feel like we can wrap it up, or we had our
Yes.
fun? We had
Yeah,
our
we're good.
adventure.
We're good.
Why don't we do this? It's 12:54. If there's any last minute questions, So basically the bottom line is this is when are you gonna get off your ass and watch friggin' Spinal Tap? Would it kill you to watch Spinal Tap? It's a good fucking movie.
What
I
like
mean, why wouldn't you
let's do
take
it. Let's do a live stream
there you go. We'll get the
of us
headphones on. There you
simultaneously watching Spinal Tap together.
simultaneously turn it up to 11. There you go.
There you go. We'll have like a. Oh no, we'll probably get sued for that. I was gonna say have like picture so people can watch it with us. But we'll tell
No,
them when we're
no,
starting it. They
what
can
they
queue it
do
up in
is
time.
no, what you do is you watch it on headphones. So you don't show the screen to the people. You just like, yeah, you basically do the thing like where it's like, did you ever do that thing where you try and sync up Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, it's the same idea. Joe Rogan does podcasts that way with UFC events. It's
Yeah,
not
so
that way.
you have to say like, okay, now you start the album on the third roar, right?
We're here now.
There you go. Boom. So there you go. Big bottom giant. So there you go. So that is what it is. Okay, baby. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap it up. I hope the live chat got something out of this. I hope you had a fun experience with us talking, watching me yet again recap the events of Corey Gate 2018 to my boy Shane the Ruiner. Shane, where can people find you? Are you gonna be doing any activity? Should we even bother looking for you? Are you gonna be laying low or are you gonna be doing some stuff?
I don't know. Just whatever. I'm sure if I do, you'll hear about it. I don't know that I will. I haven't made up my mind yet.
This fucking guy.
This was fun though.
Okay, I'm glad. Well, if you don't do anything, they can catch you here, I guess. I guess that's the point, right?
There you go. Well, I'll still check in next year. It's all good.
There you go. And now that we bothered you and dragged you out onto the YouTube stage for my entertainment pleasure, we could just go back and stay in closer touch and talk more often, okay? How does that
Yeah,
sound?
let's do that.
Beautiful. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll say, oh, here's David Buckwalter says, I love you, Shane. Please come back to the community.
Uh,
There you go. So many great memories. So many interesting ups and downs, tosses and turns.
so
Remember when I went crazy because I wasn't the first person you had featured on your friggin' your YouTube channel?
I do. I do.
Who'd you interview instead of me? Some guy who's like not even like around anymore.
like I wish I remember the quote of what you said. You're like the guy who gets the tapes for the DJ at the local radio station, or something
Well,
like
that was
that.
like literally who you had on. I mean, it was incredible. You know, like I started talking to this guy offline when I was setting up interviews with Joe Schmo Boo Boo. Oh yeah. We also want to announce Joe from the Carolinas is back. What is this, one or two? There's like a. Are they talking about the best
They're talking
movies?
about
Oh,
whether or
press
not.
one of CW is a more impressive beard. Two of Shane is sexier. Jasmyne, how dare you? Oh my God. No, Jasmyne gets a pass. I'm going to assume that she's just trying to get me crazy because Jasmyne is nice enough to do. Shane, here's the great thing. Yo, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Shane, before you go, Shane, have you seen? Firstly, I want to shout out Jasmyne for making. She's actually, her video channel is in the description box below. The link to her videos in the description box below, because she's nice enough to talk about service to the community. You know, I have a tendency to make kind of long-winded videos. Shane, have you picked up on that?
Yeah.
Do you realize that like it's like, do you have like, it's like, oh man, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch the new CW Chanter video. I was thinking about it. It's like, do you have 4 hours to kill? You know what I mean? Even if you play me at 1.5 speed, it's still and ridiculous. And what I've heard is that if people try and play me at faster speeds, sometimes they have problems understanding me because I talk kind of fast anyway, which means is not only am I talking for 4 hours, it's so information dense. Technically, it's like an 8 hour performance. Right? You go, David Eichel talked for 7 hours, but he's telling people to look at the friggin' what do they call that? The PowerPoint presentation for a lot of the time, right? It's like, look at this one. What do you see there? Long pause, long pause, long pause. And then all of a sudden he'll start talking to me. I talk like a mile a minute throughout the entire duration, like a crackhead with a doctorate. Take
you,
that.
you said it.
There you go. So anyway, so Jasmyne performs a service to the community where she actually clips out the specific highlights of my show. So if anyone who's interested, look, and if you've been saying to yourself, I
Oh
like
wow,
CW Chanter.
she's a brave
No,
lady.
she's awesome. If you like CW Chanter, but you don't have 4 hours to commit, you can look, and she's like cut a lot of these things down into nice, concise little chunklets. So God
Well,
bless her for that and for her work, and you'll see her channel listed below. So please subscribe to Jasmyne. Despite having the wrong choice in beards amongst the two of us. Anyway, and then yada yada yada. It's just boom bobs. Oh, and speaking about people who make videos about me, I think there's someone that we have in common that we haven't spoken about. Have you checked out Suze Pratt's YouTube channel?
yeah, I watched like a few minutes of one recently, but I didn't have. I don't have enough time to watch a lot of these things, so I didn't.
Right.
I didn't watch it all.
On a scale of 1 to obsessed, how obsessed do you think that Suze Pratt is with me?
I don't really know, man. I haven't been paying much attention. She's one of the people who messaged me that made me look at what you were doing again. So
And what did she say about me?
I don't even really remember. Just basically telling me to check out the video.
Telling you to check out my video?
Yeah, I think you were talking about me at the time.
Is this back in the day or is this currently?
Recently,
What did I ever say about you recently? I don't know. Maybe she's did she?
you were ranting about Corey, and you were
No
bringing me
way.
up,
I
and
was ranting about Corey. That one. Oh, you're really narrowing it down.
yeah, right.
There you go.
And one of your recent rants about Corey brought me up.
One of the recent ones. You know what I mean? It's like, what was that preacher talking about? I don't know. Something about the Bible.
But yeah,
Anyway.
I love Suze. I don't really know what
Oh, you love
has been going on.
Suze?
I
Oh
don't
my
really know what's
God.
been
Oh
going
my.
on.
Well, I'll tell you what's been going on. Hold on. Excuse me.
No,
Share
no, no,
screen.
no,
No, no, no, no, no, no, no, no, no,
tell
no,
me
no.
what's going on.
Shh. This is fun. This is just a little. This is not. I'm not going to say anything. There's going to be no color commentary. I'm not going to need to. I'm just gonna. We're just gonna do something, and we're just gonna. It's gonna take 5 seconds. Okay, can you give me 5 seconds of your time?
For sure.
Okay, hold on. Wait, let me do this. Here we go. Bear with me. Yoink. Do 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 do. Alfred Lambermont Weber. What do you think about that guy? He's falling off the map. Like, remember when Alfred Lambermont Weber used to be consistently uploading all the time?
I do remember that, but I didn't like. I haven't been paying attention,
You
so I
haven't
don't know
paid
if he
attention,
hasn't.
so you don't.
I don't know if that he hasn't
Well,
been. So.
do you take me at my word? Are you willing to? I know that
Oh yeah,
you have
for
a
sure,
hard Yeah, okay, there you
for
go.
sure.
Where's this? What the heck was it? Oh, it's so. Here we go. I
So
forgot the
I
name.
told you the whole point of this was for you to fill me in on all this stuff, so that I knew catch me up to speed on what I've been missing.
Okay, so here we go. Hold on, bear with me. What is this? Oh, thank God. I got scared. Hold on. Okay. So let me do this. Hold on, bear with me. Share screen. Application window. Boom. Okay. Let's do this so I can bring up the live chat. Hold on. Oh, here we go. So let's just take a look at some of these video titles, and you tell me what's going on. Okay, read CW Chanter, lies at CW Chanter, election night blues clues not at CW Chanter, the scam of pre-primary elections at CW Chanter, CW Chanter, the truth still sets you free, SmackDown in Chantertown, Dark Alliances, Uneros, and The Bean in Carolina. That was about me too. Um, yeah, so she makes a fair amount of videos about me. I don't know. And literally, what Suze Pratt will do, in case you're curious, FYI, and for your own information, is she'll play my entire video in the background. So she'll play 4 hours of my video as she talks over me. So if you thought that watching my videos was a little bit difficult sometimes, imagine. Oh, here we go. CW Chanter's Mr. Grumpy. It's brilliant. Where am I going with this? So the point being is that she here we go. Con, Checkmate, Angela Power, Disney, CCN, Chanter. There you go. She's one of my favorite people. I love her. I subscribe. You know what I mean. But to say that she's also, as you can tell, she's been on kind of a kick. She's been kind of on a CW Chanter kick for a while. And so what she'll do is she'll watch the entire video in the background, and then she's friggin' doing that, and then yada 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 sis boom ba. Hold on. Over the top of it, she's talking. She's like, and here's CW Chanter talking again. And here he is talking to Shane. Oh, geez. I wonder what he's going to say. Nothing good. Tag it. There you go. So that's my rant on my little shout out to / rant on Suze Pratt. So now she can watch this video and be like, I used to like the ruiner. Shane's a good kid. I don't know why he's hanging out with CW Chanter. Maybe he's trying to talk some sense into him. I don't know. I don't think so. You can't talk sense into CW Chanter, but we don't know because he already knows everything already because he's so smart. Yeah, right. He's a fool. He doesn't even believe in Atlantis. Shane, political Shane, being as quiet as a mouse.
Hey, I haven't been watching any of it. I don't know anything about anything. It's got
I
obviously
don't
you
watch
too.
anything about it. There you
So
go.
all I know is
She just wants you to defend her about Atlantis.
she doesn't like you very much. I don't know how you feel about her, but
I love her. I love all human beings on planet Earth. It's a luxury I can afford because I get to be CW Chanter.
I haven't been able to devote any time to paying attention to what anyone's been saying, so I don't really know
Well,
what the issues are.
and you know what I mean. My attitude about it is that I find that hard to believe. My attitude about it is like, that CW Chanter exists. I didn't say I didn't believe in Atlantis. I believe in Atlantis in the way that I believe in Atlantis. I believe in my conception of Atlantis. That's what's up. Anyway, but the point being is that Shane, you're gonna tell the world that knowing that CW Chanter exists, that knowing that we're friends, you were able to go a year without tuning into the chant, man. I find that hard to believe.
I don't. It's not that hard to believe. I mean, I love you, man, but listening to your rant about this stuff, it's not really that entertaining for me personally.
Well, I talk about other things too.
Well, I talk about other things too.
Did you just mock me? Did you just fucking mock me in my own goddamn house? Did you just diss me in the Malibu? How
Yeah,
dare
I
you,
did.
sir? How
I
dare
did.
you? Oh my god.
It's like you threw me a softball there. Come on.
Uh-huh.
Well, I
This
talk
guy.
about him. Even like the tone of your voice when you said it. That was actually
Mm.
quite funny.
Well,
Oh,
well, that means I'm a comedian. That means I'm funny. That's a good
that.
quality to have as an entertainer. So there you go. So F you. At least one of us is funny.
True.
At least I'm bringing some energy to the friggin' show.
There
What'd
you
you
go.
bring? It's like, and then Shane, and then he killed the man 3 times. The cops said it took the young man hours to die. Shane, your response. Oh, I don't know. Taking hours to die. I mean, that's not a good thing, right? That's not a fun thing that that wouldn't be something that I'd sign up for. But I mean, if that's the way it happened, I guess that's the way it happened. You know what I mean? It's like, thank you. It's like the Holocaust. 6 million people died, to say nothing of the scores and scores of millions of young men who lost their lives on the battlefield. Young men full of promise in life, now worm food. Shane, your response. Yeah, what do you want me to say? I mean, war is not like a good thing. Like, if you the choice between going to war or not going to war, you'd want to not do it. That's my Shane the Ruiner impersonation. Jesus Christ. Come on, man. Take a position. Have a fucking point of view. Have a perspective. Have an ethos, as they say. You know what I mean?
Well, my decisions are my decisions, but other people's are theirs. So I don't have a whole lot of position to take on other people's choices.
Yes, you do. You would never. I don't believe that for a second. You know what I mean? I don't believe for a second that you go around living your life watching people do despicable actions and you sit there and just silent and say nothing because you have
Yeah,
no position on what they
that's
say,
different.
right?
Despicable actions aside, I'm just talking about like the examples you just used
Are
are
you a
not.
fan? Okay, one last thing I'll say. Are you a fan of the sitcom All in the Family?
No, I guess not.
Well, there goes that suggestion, David Buckwalter. You can't say you didn't try. God bless you. Bless the people in the live chat. I know and unbeat. We can't get anything out of this guy except for we already got out of him, which was I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Of course, we got a lot out of him. Shane, from the bottom of my heart, it's been a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful time talking to you again. We first talked in 2015, right?
Yes.
And it's now 2018, so we've known each other for a while. It's been a wild and crazy experience and trip. Oh, Shane, what's your favorite color?
What's my favorite color?
Yeah.
Um, People say black's not a color, right? So I guess blue.
I guess. Shane, what's your favorite color? I guess blue.
Blue. Well, if black doesn't count, then blue. Otherwise, it would be black. That's what I meant by yes, blue.
What? I'm getting bizarre questions, so we're
She
gonna
got
cut
the
it off.
answer.
Yeah, it is what it is. There you go,
Crystal got the
blue.
answer. She's good.
There you go. Blue. Wonderful. So there you go. I love you. Love you. Love you. Shane, from the bottom of my heart. I love you. Thank you so much for coming out of retirement. Yeah, I've dragged you out of retirement once before, right? I occasionally drag you out of retirement.
Yeah, I don't know. It just makes sense for me to warm up with you.
You cocksucker. Did you even warm up with me? You went from you didn't know what you were going to be doing to now all of a sudden you're warming up. You said, this is the guy. This is the guy. You know what I mean? This freaking guy. This is all
Just poking the bear. I
I,
wanted to see that. I wanted
yeah,
to see
yeah,
that
yeah,
fading
yeah,
before I hit it one more
yeah.
time before we go.
Go poke the Giants twat, okay? Make some use out of yourself. Jesus, my God, this guy, this effing guy. No, I kid, because we love you, Shane. Thank you so much for coming out of retirement, for joining us in this the CW Chanter experience. I hope the people at home got something out of this and had some fun. Lord knows that I did. And that's the point, folks. Look, you can believe anything you want to about the testimony of these people. There's absolutely no point ever in going to a conference to listen to these people tell you these stories when you could get involved in a forum, meet some people online, meet some people at an alien con meetup or whatever, and talk to real life human beings and people. You don't need to pay them money. You can just exchange stories and war stories around the campfire, speculate about what might be out there, what might not be out there. Go to a movie, cook some food together, have some real meals, have some real experiences, rather than going and sitting in a friggin' uncomfortable folding chair watching some Yahoo yammer on about his experiences as a super soldier. You know what I mean? It is what it is, folks. It is what it is. My statements are on the record, and I hope you had a fun time listening to us. I love you. I love you. I love you. As I traditionally end the broadcast now, I turn to the camera and I tell the people the truth from the bottom of my heart. I swear to God, it might be a crazy thing to say, it might be a crazy thing to feel, but as sure as Shane the Ruiner is going to testify that he really spoke to those giants, I'm going to say to you, I really, really do love you. I really, really do love you guys, and thank you so much for participating. And if no one told you that they loved you today, guess what? Someone just did. So for me and Shane, you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you. It was fun, as always. Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
You never know. I'll see you somewhere circa 2020, right? There you go. Okay, until next time, folks. I love you. I love you. I love you, and we'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.